So we have a roster rotel, spinach dip with chicken and shrimp, Oreo douce, fresh fruit jello shots, strawberry banana pudding, cream pudding, crunch punches, and buzz buns, and relax lemonade.
Good evening and welcome to Let's Chat Dallas. And that little commercial was just from Sunkissed Kiki with those twisted creations. And I'm telling you all, if you all have not got bit twisted by Twisted Kiki and tasted some of that Hennessy pudding and those Jello shots and those cookies, I'm telling you, do not know what you're missing. So hit her up. I'm just going to say that this segment is sponsored by Twisted Kiki because she's one of my new favorite people. This is your girl, the Duchess with Let's Chat Dallas, and I have some very special guests here with me this evening. Of course, if you happen by this broadcast, then go ahead and share it on your page in a group. If you happen by YouTube, go ahead and subscribe and like this video. Today, we have some very special guests. Of course, we have, first of all, Miss B. All right, good evening, Miss B, and thank you for joining me this evening. Miss B is from WGHP 102.4 FM in Palm Springs. And this is her information, Williams Go Hard Label and Productions. And I met her this weekend at Bonfire, and she has agreed to join me. And we're joining forces to bring y'all some really good news you can absolutely use. And then I also have Miss Sandra Hart from Stars of Dallas, and I'm gonna let them give them all of their information. These two were part of my media team this week with giving us all of that great coverage from Bonfire Dallas. And then finally, last but not least, I have Miss Tramonica Brown. Tramonica Brown is running for Dallas City Council District 7. Tramonica Brown for the people. She is 29 years old, a young Black woman out here in these streets trying to make a difference and trying to make things better, not only for herself and her children, but for the people in the world around her. So we are really, really pleased that all of you all have joined us today. And if y'all look at it the same way, let's just go clockwise and address the people. Go ahead, Ms. B.
I just want to say hello, shout out to Dallas, man, for having me on the show. I do appreciate it. Hey, if y'all miss Bonfire Weekend, y'all missed one heck of an event, and y'all should have been there. If it would not been for Cherie and the opportunity to come out to be a part of the Bonfire, I would not have met Miss Tramonica Brown. I would not have met Miss Sandra. Man, these are some amazing people that you got on the line right now. Everybody needs to know that.
All right. So drop all your social media, Ms. B, so everybody will know how to follow you, because you were very instrumental in the coverage this past weekend. So I had to just, pull you into the family and, if not call you one of my children, at least one of the sisters or brothers.
Well, as far as with me, with my information, you can reach out to me on the station, GHP 102.4 FM. You can Google me, The Real MCB. I am anywhere. You can find me on all platforms, on Instagram, The Real Ms. B, on Facebook, The Real B, and always WGHP 102.4 FM. And you can find me on Twitter, Williams Go Hard 1. And then my YouTube is Williams Go Hard Label and Production.
All right. Miss Sandra Hart, you know what? You are so busy. You are everywhere, honey. I did not realize what a busy woman you are, but highly professional, and was a really very instrumental in this weekend's past event. So thank you for joining me once again. Go ahead and address the people, Sandra.
Hey everybody, my name is Miss Sandra Hart. I am the owner of Hart Referrals. We are a referral agent. We assist people with disability get on Medicare and Medicaid. And I'm also the owner of Heart to Home Texas, where we help people get off the streets, homeless, work with hospitals, nursing homes, mental institutions. and we house them, give them 3 meals a day here in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Kaufman, and Princeton area. And I think I met our guest a couple times. I met her at Dream Motivation event. She had did a guest speaking thing there one year, and then at I think an Eva event as well. So, and then at the Martin Luther King Center. So she's been a busy person in the community. So when I'm at a spot, she's at a spot, and I love the people that's following her and educating the community. Thank you so much for being on our show today.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Sandra. And finally, we have Miss Tramonica Brown. She is running for Dallas City Council District 7. And she is a young lady. She's after my own heart, really. She's the same age as my own children who are getting to that age, to be concerned about what's going on in the city. Okay, she's a strong advocate for education, economic opportunities, affordable housing, LGBT issues, and she is also joined by a lot of her friends that are also behind her. So we want to just put her out there and give her a platform to address the people and let us know what you're doing in the community and what you plan to change here in Dallas District 7. Hello, Tramonica.
Hello, hello. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm super excited. When I first met you, I was like, oh my goodness, she is so warm. We sat there and talked, and I ate my chicken wings.
Okay.
And love the Chocolate Lounge. Huge shout out to them for having you guys there to put on such a welcoming situation for me and my spouse. We enjoyed ourselves. Only reason why we left was because it was time to pick up the children. So thank y'all for having the bonfire. I feel like it's super important that, especially in this time, and I hope we dissect it a little bit more, how the racial differences between the LGBTQ for Black people versus the LGBTQ for a white person or somebody else that's not Black, how it differs, and especially how it differs in Dallas. So I'm hoping that we get to talk a little bit about that, but I'm excited to be here. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to be in the space with you guys, and I'm ready.
Okay, and we're ready for you. We're ready for you. You have a beautiful face. Like I said, you look just like one of my own daughters. So, I mean, I do have that. That's probably where that warmth came from because I'm looking at one of my own children who, like I was telling you before, are young women in trying to make a difference in this world. My youngest is off in Denver trying to learn a new trade that's going to bless my family for generations. My oldest daughter works right here in the Dallas community and was raised here. And so she would be looking to a person like yourself who's going to be looking at the issues that concern her because her best friend is also LGBTQ. And so, the more that we merge our lifestyles and spread our wings to the people, not only that are in our community as LGBT, but the people who fight for us and the people who sympathize and empathize with our plights and with our cause. We need to know exactly who you are.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, Tramonica, I'm going to give you the floor because I sent you a few things that I do want you to talk about. The first thing I want you to talk about, just give us a quick rundown of what is Not My Son.
Oh, that's a perfect question. Okay. Not My Son is my baby for number one. Before any candidacy came into play, Not My Son was born. It was born off of the heartbreak of Trayvon Martin and the straw that broke America's back, which was George Floyd. Um, we in Dallas had a real problem that a lot of cameras didn't capture and that you seen, on social media, but you didn't get to see a lot of what was happening in your own city where we had people, one man lost his eye. I've seen police officers punch people. It was to a point to where I was literally stepping in front of other people's children. I know I'm y'all's baby, but out there in the protest world, they were my babies. So I wanted to make sure that I created something that was safe, a no non-starter, because the Watchmen was formed, because we came out full guns blazing as well. It's my job. I stepped into space and I decided to use my life's work to be a social activist to say, I'm going to step in front of somebody else's children because their mama is not here. And I have 2 kids and we're out here. And, we start, engaging the police officers and You know, when they seen us with guns, they was like, well, wait a minute. Like, okay, this is a different tip. But, you know, we came out, we're based on 3 pillars. Social activism was how we were born. We took that, we went to community outreach, which is we feed the homeless every month. We provide housing. During the winter storm, we housed over 600 families, which was an amazing blessing. We did not leave until, let me say, 2 Wednesdays ago was the last day at the hotel with everybody. Everybody was placed into a home or into a new space to carry on with life and, you know, try to get back to some type of normalcy. And our last one is civic engagement. I felt like it was extremely important with me taking a platform and a stance for social activism that we also checks and balance what we have as far as who our city council members are. Because a lot of the change that we want is within our city council. It's not
Mhm.
national. Presidency
Right.
was a race, but what we want to see change affects us with our city council members.
Mhm.
So I was a huge advocate for it, and next thing I know, I was running for it. And,
You
and I,
know, hard
I
to
come
do
from a
it
very pure background where I wasn't a voter. I wasn't a voter for local elections because my family has had a few, they're more in depth with policy than I kind of laid on. So I knew a lot of the backdoor dealings and it was a turnoff for me. But once I started seeing with the wake of George Floyd and the fact that we really need to see change and the people that are sitting there are absolutely inadequate, it made me jump into a space that I wasn't
Mhm.
necessarily ready for, but now I've grown to. And
Mhm.
I have to teeter tot back and forward with, you know, being a politician and being a community activist, because they say that's where community activists go to die. And I say, you know, somebody has to be for the people.
Right.
And you have to take a stance of, when I said I wanted to defund DPD and I wanted to reallocate those funds into mental health,
Mhm.
into drug rehabilitation, that's something that I had to stand on. And
Right.
I get into these forums with, you know, with people nobody can see. You know, it's not like a live, it's not where people can come and see. And you see these Black men who say, we want, you know, more police. You know, I go and I door knock and I want more police. And in my mind, I'm like, what doors are you knocking on? Because the doors that I knocked on,
Mhm.
I'm not getting that same response. But I'm understanding that it's all about the money and the greed. And so somebody has
Yeah.
to be willing to not take the money. You know, the gentrification is here in our neighborhoods.
Mhm.
It's already here. I live in Pleasant Grove, and South Dallas is our jewel of District 7. And we're in a situation to where gentrification is already there. Now we need to protect our legacy homeowners. Grandma who's 80 years old, who's on Social Security.
Yes.
We don't want them to say, yeah, we'll fix your house, but in 10 years when you die, we own it.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
coming as a, you know, I'm a millennial. So my heart is a bit, we're more aggressive. I will say that. I've
Mhm.
learned that. They're like, oh, girl. But I'm coming from a place where I'm highly educated and I know what I'm talking about. And when I say I'm for my people, I'm really for my people. I've had people offer me money to drop out of the race. They've offered to give me money for, oh, yes. Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
I mean, came to me with cash in hand, and I'm not talking about a few thousand.
Wow.
Um, and they've offered to donate to Not My Son heavily just to get me out of the race, because
Mm.
they said we want progress, but we don't want that much progress. That much progress is going to
Wow.
slow down the money train. And I've
Mm.
realized how close politics is to
Mm.
social activism. They're
Yeah.
almost intertwining. So I've learned
Yeah.
a lot. It's an amazing blessing to be on this journey. And, you know, I'm going to fight all the way through, because at some point we have to realize what the real issue is. We have a
Mhm.
systemic racism problem, but we also have us hindering us.
Right.
So,
Well, we definitely want to get into
And
talk to that. Go ahead, Miss B or Sandra. Y'all want to jump in?
Man, I am so proud of what you're doing, especially with the mental
well, I
illness.
just wanted
Because
to make
I
a point.
am
Now, is it people
Hold
that they
on a
bring
second.
you in?
Go ahead, Sandra.
for the mental ill clients, because I deal with a lot of them. I get them right out of the hospitals and all the mental, and nobody want them. And I take care of them, and I be their payee representative and house them.
oh, I can't hear you anymore.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was calling in. A lot of them is not able to take care of themselves, and the first place they will put
I hate it when that happens. Go ahead, Sandra. Can you hear now? No, we can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Go ahead, Miss B. You want to go ahead and jump in? Let Sandra go ahead and take care of that.
Okay. Well, my question was, is it correct that you're a write-in candidate, or are you actually on the ballot? Because I want to be clear on that. They have to write you in.
Oh yes, I'm not a write-in ballot. I'm on the count number 4 on the ballot.
Okay, so are you
Okay,
representing
y'all.
any
So,
particular
and
party?
that's District 7, correct?
District 7. So District 7 is Pleasant Grove, South Dallas.
Okay, so that encompasses a pretty huge minority area. So now I live in Oak Cliff. Okay. So, but I live in South Oak Cliff. So I mean, what do I need? Like you were saying before, you have previously, before you got involved, you hadn't been very much of a voter on the local level. And let's just talk about how important that is because, as far as real change in the community.
So yes, I was not a voter with local elections up until this summer. I feel like it has become important because the mindset is they educate us. And I'm gonna tell you this is a local issue as well. And I feel like that's a systemic issue too, because a certain block of wages knows about local elections. If you go to South Dallas, even if you go to Oak Cliff, they don't know about no local election. That's just the honest to God truth. They don't know. We don't spend any money advertising it's a local election. I can count on no hands how many times I have saw it in the news. Like on when we're watching the nightly news or midday news where they're talking about we have a local election coming up. Why? Because it's a part of the suppression. It only takes 2 seconds to let people know who watch your news station that we have voting for local elections going on right now. The only people that Black people know is Eddie Bernice Johnson and John Wiley Price. And that's just the truth. I'm
And
not.
yeah, well, we certainly need to know more than that because number one, Eddie Bernice and John Wiley Price have been in office for a long time, but there is a new generation, of course, like of your age group, your demographic that is coming along, and because you all are actually being affected, even more so by the gentrification and the loss of property because people like your parents and your grandparents who worked hard for their property and for their land. A lot of you may even be homeowners and property owners and not even know it. So that's one thing that we were talking about in our conversation about in your district, the importance of owning property, with Miss Carla, like she's the owner of the lounge, and then even with some of the things the issues that we ran into with Bonfire by not being the venue owner, so you're subject to the owner's capacity limits. You're subject to their rule, their subjugation, and all that kind of stuff. So, as far as affordable housing, the gentrification, can you go ahead and expound on that a little bit?
Absolutely. So in the South Dallas area, because that's the one that's heavily targeted, because we have what I call the sweet spot. We are one of 3 or maybe 4. I want to say it's only 3 where Malcolm X and Martin Luther King cross. That's a historic landmark and a hot spot. What they are doing is they're buying up land property there and they're buying up property around it because it was a 10-year plan where they wanted to build up that community, but not necessarily build up the people who live in that community. Meaning they wanted to get that piece of land back because guess what? It is in direct contact to Fair Park. If they can really boom up that real estate, it'll be great for market shares to build up that community. However, it's not good for the people in the community because they won't grandfather them in with their taxes.
So what does
So
that mean for them? Do they have to? Does that mean that they lose a portion of their property, or what do people have to do to
Oh no. See, this is where it comes in where it's time to vote. And I had to learn that because I had a problem and I was like, what do we do? Because, you know, in my mind, I'm ready to, I'll protest and I'll
Mhm.
gather up. I had 300 people at your door in a minute.
Okay.
But
And
it wasn't something that I could protest to effectively change. And see, I'm a Capricorn. Just
mhm,
fun fact about me. So I'm a goat and I'm very hard headed and I'm stubborn about not
mhm,
getting. I need to follow through. I have to follow something through. I can't just start something and leave it there. That's why the elevation of this has come. But to answer your question, what happens is that they will either annex the land, or what they really do is they wait until Grandma Carol
mhm.
gets 50,000 behind in her back taxes, and they just take the house.
Wow.
And she's on Social Security. They send it by mail, or they really don't say anything. A lot of the
Mhm,
cases that I hear, especially in behind Fair Park in that East Dallas area, they don't hear
mhm.
anything.
Wow.
They let it stack up to where they know they can't afford to physically pay for it, and they just take the land. That's the
Mhm.
easiest way to do it. So we as Black people, and if you look over there, that's Black owned. That's
Yeah.
not Hispanic. That's not white. If we don't have a place in Dallas to call our own, it's South Dallas.
Yeah.
It's no. They want to bring diversity somewhere where the culture needs to breathe.
Mhm.
And
Oh.
I know as a politician, you're supposed to say, yes, I want diversity and I want this and I want that. I do feel like in some places we need to keep our culture, because
Mhm.
too much of that is gonna shake up what we have there. It's a lot of historical sites that people don't even know about,
Right.
that Black people are fighting right now to get to life and trying to create some of these Dallas tours that we probably don't know anything about, but they take them all the time. And they
Mhm.
want to learn more about these. It's becoming more intriguing because, as one of my candidates said, it was a trend when George
Mhm.
Floyd died. It was trendy to protest. I took
Mhm.
high offense to that because they look at us as a market share.
Right.
And until we actually understand that these people who are not Black, and I have to say Black because I have to tell people we are not people of color.
Mhm.
People of color, parents did not hang, bleed, and die for us to be able to have a voice to even have this type of conversation right now. So we
Right.
have to set the tone differently because that's somebody else's narrative.
Yes. Absolutely.
Um,
Well, I mean, that's wow. I can just say wow because we've needed this, and actually I believe that of course, with the gavel coverage of George Floyd, and even back with the Trayvon and all of the the issues, that we definitely need to make sure that our focus is clear. And our focus being clearly Black does not mean that it is cloudy in other in other areas. We can still be clearly Black and clearly Black focused, and still have our other associations. But until we focus clearly on our issues, on our land ownership, on our because I'm gonna tell you something. I lived in Bonton for about a year. Okay, back before they redid everything. Okay, and then I think my youngest daughter was about 4 or 5 years old when we lived there. And we lived there for a very short time, about a year or so. And I took her over there to see if she remembered anything. When I went up, they got a market back there that used to be the bottom. I mean, this looks like a street in Soho. Okay, they've got that market restaurant back there, and I saw something that I had never ever seen in Bonton, and that was white people. I'm telling you, I felt like I was in a movie. I'm being for real. I'm telling my daughter, I see white people, and that's not something. I'm serious. That is not something that she would have seen back when she was young, and when we lived over in Bonton. But that's the gentrification, and if they can do all of that in Bonton, okay, in that area, but if you see, it's just that one street. that street, Bear Street, okay, when you come
Mhm.
from Elsie Faye Higgins and go on back there, that whole street. But you go, the next house behind it is still dilapidated and falling apart.
Well, so
Yeah,
they don't live there. They just come to visit.
of course not. But I'm saying the street itself, like all of the new stuff is out on the street. But you go
Mhm.
one house deep in the neighborhood and everything it's still the way it always was.
Mhm.
Have you noticed how they did the bridge? Because you know the people used to cross over the freeway on the bridge, but now they made the wall so high and changed the way you go into to the Dallas area from what's that 175,
Hmm.
and they made sure you cannot just go into that South Dallas area. You will have to pass by all the way to that Martin Luther King. And I was like,
Mhm.
wow, because I used to always get so scared. I thought it was a good thing at first until I seen the way they was building the bridge. I said, oh, they dividing. It's like a big divide
Hmm.
That's it.
into the community to hide the new stuff they building and keeping the old on this side. And
Hmm.
when the seniors come to the senior source, the main thing is um, it's a program called caregiver services where yes, we will care for you, but when you pass away, we're going to take your property, we're going to take your land, we're going to take your stocks, we're going to take your life insurance, we'll bury you. It may
Hmm.
more cremate you, donate your bodies to organs so they can keep your whole life insurance and kick your kids
Hmm.
out these house because you gave us the rights to the deeds once you signed that paper for that caregiver services. And I was like, and I'm watching my disabled clients get kicked out of their parents' house
Oh,
because that parent needed help while they was living. And it's so sad. And I'm like, I'm 911, got to move them that same day, got to move them, and it hurts my heart to see the way, the kids fight and fight and fight. They cannot win that case with the state.
Mm-mm.
When that person died, they come in with, they always say, we might come and get it, and if your husband and wife, no, they come and get it and they come with it quick. And they will put it on the list for a nonprofit organization or something, and we can come and get it. And it sounds, as me being a nonprofit, I'm like, man, I can pay $1 for this house when these kids want to stay at this house. But I can get it for $1 for over 50 years. So it's so sad to see that program do families like that when they take their properties.
Hmm. My mother had worked for the United Way
wow.
for 10
Just,
years. Go
just,
ahead. Go
well,
ahead,
no,
Miss
I
B.
was just gonna say that just blows me away. Just for me listening, and I was just gonna say that blows me away. Just for me listening, from the outside looking in, makes me want to step up for our singers, help and assist. And when it hit us, that's happening in Dallas. Wow, that's just heartbreaking. We deal with so many issues, or we hear about so many things that is often talked about on the news, but you're not hearing anything such as that. And so that's what's not talked about. And for you to have a platform for that to come out and be displayed and be discussed, amazing. And it's just sad to hear, though. However,
Yeah.
so
And one other
yeah,
thing
I'm
that
gonna
I
give you the
wanted,
platform, but
yeah,
I'm just shocked. Just
yeah. And say that with that Fair Park area, Tramonica, one other thing that happened this year, the Prairie View Grambling game has been a tradition at the Cotton Bowl, right there in the middle of South Dallas. Prairie View and Grambling are historically black colleges.
Yes.
Okay, the Texas State Fair Classic has always been in South Dallas at the Cotton Bowl at the Fair Park. Okay, it brought a lot of business and commerce to the State Fair of Texas, but this year they moved it to which has no public transportation, for us to get out there and celebrate our children from our universities. And so there was something that was done with that. It was done so quickly and quietly that we didn't know anything about it until it was done. And I know that your district includes the that Fair Park area and traditions like that. And so, I mean, is this something that we're looking at, like our traditions that we hold so dear that normally have taken place in South Dallas at the Fair Park in that area? Are we looking at those being taken away from us and moved out to areas where we can barely get, I mean, everybody can get to the state fair. They got 5 trains coming from 10 different directions. You know what I'm saying? But everybody can't get to Arlington.
It is. I feel like it was done strategically to say we need to make it look more attractive. So
Mhm.
they're trying to build, they have a plan right now, it's 70 acres. And I told them, I said, well, where's the 70 acres coming from? Nobody puts that together. When you just talk to us and you tell us we want to make it look good and we want to bring more businesses, when you talk real fast, it sounds real good. And I'm a
Mhm.
slow it down kind of person because I need to understand where the money resides.
Mhm.
Where exactly? Oh, you're taking houses.
Oh,
So
Mhm.
houses is getting it. Well, so grandma don't have nowhere to live.
mm-mm.
So this generational of legacy, no matter how you feel dilapidated it is, it belongs to somebody and it was passed on. And so you feel like you can just annex that land because you want to build a park. That's
Mhm.
not for the people who live in the area.
Mhm.
That 70-acre park don't have no melanin in it. And
Right.
I say that and I mean it. And I feel like sometimes I teeter totter with doing the forums because I sit there and I be like, you know what, I just cannot be perfect Patty because at the end of the day, when this race is over, my home is in social activism.
Mhm.
And I have felt an overwhelming sense of sellout.
Wow.
Mhm.
And because it's all men in the race. I'm the only female. And the views are we need more policing. Yeah, we'll put some mentorship in there. But it was a good idea when we brought in additional policing. That's a problem. We have to look at how it's actually affecting the people. And when I sat there and I said, well, the people I talked to said they didn't appreciate police running their tags just because they were driving down the street.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
When
Did
you
they
bring,
put the
when you,
police stations in? They put the police, like little mini police stations in South Dallas, right? When they upgrade all the new homes in that area.
no. So what they did was they brought in, I can't even think of the name of it. It got me so hot.
Because I've seen them everywhere. I'm like,
Yeah, they brought in more police outside police, outside of
oh
DPD.
yeah, the troopers, the
Yes,
troopers,
that's it. My,
baby.
my
Oh,
blood
they
started
was
boiling before
hot.
I can even talk about it. Yes.
Yeah, because
So
I get
when
clients at the South Dallas nursing home, and troopers was like lined up and just stopping every
every single
single
person, and
person.
so I asked in one form because I couldn't take it. Matter of fact, it was the Dallas Morning News. I said, explain to me, could you just give me a name of one person who said that they wanted these troopers in South Dallas?
They said because you remember that gun from that at the they was shooting people got killed at that car wash. I said
And
y'all
Mr.
got the
Jim's.
car wash gated. All it's what almost over 2 years now. It's
Mhm.
still gated. Why you not turning it down?
So, but here's the thing. So we have illegal street racing, right?
Yes.
We have people hanging out in the middle of the streets doing absolutely nothing
Mm-hmm.
because we don't have anything to do. Now, me, I can always find something to do. But
Yes.
my thing is, if we look inside of South Dallas and inside of Pleasant Grove, tell me what we can do.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have anything.
Yeah. Go. They can go to the Blues Palace.
We can go to the Blues Palace or we can go to the Chocolate Lounge. That's
Chocolate.
that's all.
That's about
That's
it.
all. That's
Yeah.
all we have to do.
The
And
club.
I
Yeah.
said we need to start thinking about instead of trying to create felonies, which was on the table, which I thought was disgusting. You want to give somebody a felony for drag street racing as a
Mm,
first offense? I said absolutely not. Because now,
and
now you're creating more people who are going to break the law. It's already hard enough to get a job once you get out of jail. Now you want to add a felony onto that? Absolutely not.
and
Do
them
we need to
clubs
create
are
a
not
state?
here in Dallas. The majority of the people you can like, I can be in North Dallas and I see all the clubs packing up at the Sam gas station getting filled up. Then they
Mhm.
come to our community in that South Dallas area. They don't live there.
No, a
They
lot
don't
of
live
them
there.
don't. I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you, a lot of them live in Pleasant Grove, or they have family, or their mothers and grandmothers live in Pleasant Grove. A lot of it started in Pleasant Grove, and I
Mhm.
remember drag street racing from
Yeah.
even when I was a child. They used to race up and down that Town East Strip. Uh-oh, I can't hear you.
I'm back. People keep calling me. I'm sorry. I'm
Somebody is popular, honey.
I'm not. I'm just a referral agent, so I'm always 911 on call all the time. But yeah, because they used to do the Yellow Belly, so that's what was the
Yes.
safe for people to do it. And then they have one in going towards Mesquite, and they was doing it that way. But the people had the owners are eight, they're older and they can't, and the kids not taking care of the property anymore. So
Hmm.
they need
Yeah,
to,
they got rid of
bring
the
that
Yellow
back.
Belly years ago. And I felt like I've been to the Yellow Belly several times myself personally.
Mhm.
So I have a unique experience when it comes to drag street racing because my family was heavy into a streetcar racing. So we would
Right.
always, like our Saturdays was at the Sundays, I think, was at the Yellow Belly.
Yeah.
I still have the posters of the Yellow Belly calendars. Like we were heavy into it, so I have a different approach when it comes to what it should actually look like. We need to put
Yes, ma'am.
something like that in the community, and let's call that economic opportunity. We're now having people pay, and it's all concentrated. We can see
Right.
it. We can have mandated protection there, and we're also creating a economic wealth, and we can privatize it. It's ways around it, but nobody wants to visit that. But I've talked to
Right.
some of the drag street racers, and they're open to that. We just have to start providing the type of resource and getting somebody from the outside to say, well, I'll take on the burden. Because like you said, a lot of those people, they got older and the children didn't want to carry on the
Hmm.
load of keeping that going. So
Yeah.
somebody has to step up, and it has to be. I feel like we need to meet in the middle because we don't have
Definitely.
anything to do, and we got to realize that these kids don't have anything to do. The car
Right.
wash was an outlet. That's when Sundays. I know y'all can remember because you guys are
Yeah.
wiser than me. South Dallas used to be packed. You used to just
Man.
ride down the street outside
Yeah.
your car and just wave at your friends and pull up
Right.
in a random parking lot and to just how they call it, parking lot pimp. That was the way, and that's how we expressed ourselves, and that's how we didn't have so much violence. But now you can't go down the street and it's just packed like that. They're trying their
Mm.
best to get into Rochester, and I'm a heavy advocate for leaving Rochester alone.
Alone. Yeah.
If it's not broke, don't fix it. There is nothing wrong with that part. We don't need any. That is for
I
melanated
think the only
people.
thing we need at Rochester Park is just, more cleaning and sanitation.
Hmm.
Because we do hang out there and have hung out there for years, and it is one of those places. Like I think of maybe last year, a year before, I went there for the Greek thing, and there was vendors and everything. We need things like that, like you're saying, that remain in our community, that do not go outside. Things that is right there in the neighborhood, like Rochester Park, a place that, with the lake area, the lake area needs to be more usable. It
It
needs to
does.
be cleaned and more usable for the people that come to the park,
That's
and
code
so
enforcement. We
exactly. And
have
that's
we
why
have
we need
little
people
to
like you.
zero code enforcement.
Yes.
Yes, I'm an advocate for code enforcement. As a matter of
Hmm.
fact, somebody sent me a picture of my purple bag today and said
Hmm.
that bulk trash hadn't picked them up. We clean up every month. And I
Hmm.
asked our current incumbent when I first started, could they pick up the trash if we did it? And I didn't receive a response. And he sent
Hmm.
some masks. I say, oh, okay. So we would
Wow.
used to take on the burden of getting talking to local businesses or taking the trash to the trash. And I was
Right.
like, no, we're gonna put them in purple bags because everybody knows I'm the girl in purple. So that
Uh-huh.
way they know who picked up the trash. And when you feel good and ready, you go pick it up. But it's
Uh-huh.
gonna sit there in them purple bags because if we can do the due diligence of cleaning up, of me getting 30 to 50 to 165 at our highest point of people
Hmm.
to come out and clean up our community, the least you can do as a city is to pick it up.
Pick it up, right.
That's it.
Right, and I mean that's just the effort of sweeping around your own front door. Like, I mean, I live in Oak Cliff because I choose to live in Oak Cliff. Like, God knows I've lived everywhere else in Dallas, but in a community where a difference needs to be made, and even outside my own front door, I can take a full bag of trash and pick it up. Even though there's people around here that will do it and that are probably paid to do it, I don't want to see it just laying on the ground and waiting for them. I live at a dead end, big no dumping sign. People dump furniture, tires, trash, all of that. And every now and then, about every month or so, they'll come pick it up or whatever. But, for us in our community, if we care, it actually begins at home. It really doesn't even matter as well who is in the office itself. If the people in the community don't come together to make stuff happen, then the person in office is really just a sitting duck.
Absolutely. And so that's why instead of trying to work my way up the ladder politically, we can get it's who has the capital. The
Hmm.
people in South Dallas, and I say South Dallas because that's the targeted area for gentrification right now.
Hmm.
Those people have more stake than they give themselves credit for.
Right.
Community buy-in needs to be a focus. If
Now,
we
what
can
is that?
focus
Can you
on
explain what that is?
So community buy-in is getting a seat at the table as a community stakeholder. So meaning you have property in this community.
Hmm.
So you have a say in this community. You're not a renter. You're not here renting. You're established here. So
Right.
if you look at most of the houses in not in Pleasant Grove in South Dallas, a lot of them are homeowners.
Right.
We don't realize it, but a lot of those people own those homes.
Hmm.
Imagine if all of those people came together and said, no, I said we don't want another liquor. What would really happen? Because those are the people who they can say, no, I pay my tax dollars here. Imagine if you had all of those people go into City Hall and say what they did not want.
Hmm.
Because it's different from an aspect of somebody who has some community buy-in and building a strong network of people. It's going to annex a lot of that. Oh, we're just going to come in and do this, and we're going to privatize this, and we're going to, have all these meat markets and sell chicken for $9. Wait a
Right.
second, chicken is down the street, and I can give me a 2-piece for under
Hmm.
$3. I don't think so.
Hmm.
We got
Their
to
food is
realize.
higher in South Dallas. South Dallas
You said
food, South Dallas was that Save a Lot on, their food are a little bit higher and it's not a good
Yes.
quality of food.
it's not good quality, and that's why they keep on asking for a grocery store like Joppy. I don't know if y'all know where Joppy is, but it's right on the
Yes.
outskirts. So they don't have a
Yes.
grocery store at all.
Oh, wow.
So they have to drive to Oak Cliff or to somewhere else in order to even go to a grocery store. I
Hmm.
mean, those are things that we need to prioritize as something that if we're going to have some miscellaneous funds, if we're going to try to entice economic opportunity, a grocery store would be great.
Right.
And we do have
One
some
that's
smaller grocery
reasonable.
stores. Yeah, one that's reasonable because the thing is they did supply and demand. I was
Hmm.
a marketing major, so I understood it perfectly. Supply and demand. You don't have anywhere else to go and you don't have the gas to go because you rode the bus. So you're gonna pay $10 for these 3 pieces of chicken before you pay and get something that's fair, like something that's name brand, because we don't know where they hacking that chicken up. Let's just be honest.
Hmm.
They could be doing that in the back from Billy Goat somewhere. And
Right.
people don't necessarily know, but people know that they don't want to eat that meat.
Right. I
People
like
don't want
to
to eat the meat
get
from
the
Fiesta, from that particular Fiesta or that Save a Lot.
oh wow.
That's been a
Okay.
major complaint with me door knocking. They don't trust
Mm-hmm.
the meat. The
Mm,
meat is of poor quality.
mm,
And I mean, that's something that's disproportionate across minority areas, and so that's that whole, fairness that we're looking for. Simply, I mean, I live in Oak Cliff, and I'm telling you, I went to go to the grocery store. I've got to go a pretty good, decent distance, and then when I even go to that grocery store, I mean, the quality is okay, but there's some items that are just the prices is just crazy. Like $5 and $6 for a box of cereal. That kind of thing. I mean, I don't eat cereal anyway, but I mean, I do check the prices. But I mean, it's just stuff like that. And then the grocery store itself is not in good repair. And then really what we need to get into is like the Hispanics with these grocery stores where they partner and co-op with farmers and things like that, and that way we can get some of those things in a lot cheaper so we can keep those prices down.
is
So
that
I'm going
what
to say
Paul
this.
Quinn doing?
Yeah, something like that. A lot of
I
things that
love
are
what Paul Quinn
happening within the Black community is they're starting their own farming. I
Hmm.
would encourage everybody, if you don't know about Ples Montgomery, he has the Oak Cliff Veggie Project.
Hmm.
And that would be somebody great to actually have on your show to talk about food agriculture and how they're actually growing the food themselves and distributing it to the community.
That
We
will
work
be something
alongside them.
wonderful. Yes,
Yes.
I lived in Michigan for a while, and they had those community gardens,
Hmm.
and those were for fresh foods. Of course, it was taken care of by the community and a few nonprofits. But that's another way for us to get, because we're gonna need it at some point in time. We're going to need this information on agriculture, on vegetation, on growing our own foods, because the government is going to shut us out of this thing, so to where to the point to where we're going to be selling our right arm for fresh foods,
Water, food.
water, foods, are those staples, those natural things in life, and then they're going to serve as diseased cows and pigs to eat.
Exactly. And that's why it's important to understand exactly what and who and how to do stuff. So that's why I say, especially with Black people, we have to capitalize and gravitas off of what we can marginalize on. So when we have another person that can actually be more intuitive about, the food crisis and how to develop in the plan, he has been super impactful. If it was an award for most collaborative, most uplifting, he would definitely get it because he has tied a lot of the nonprofits that are in the Dallas and the South Dallas, Pleasant Grove, Oak Cliff area
Mhm.
together to provide them with those resources so that way we can build better together. And we're now establishing our own. And the goal for me for them, because I always have a goal for somebody else, is for them
Right.
to have their own grocery store because
Mhm.
we want to create that tangible wealth too. I always want to find a way for Black people to thrive and create that economic opportunity for us because
Right.
Yeah,
it's
it's so
unfortunate,
many
but
abandoned buildings out there that they can pay
yes.
for
But the
them.
thing is,
I
they're
was like
buying those
amazed.
buildings.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And my best friend, her name is Brandy, and she's in the Navy, and her kids went to China school, and they in the first grade they showed them how they did gardening, and do strawberries and rice, and so that was like a subject. So I was like, wow, why the United States don't do that for our children here?
They
And that was
definitely need agriculture classes.
Yes, we need that so bad here. They don't wait till we get to high school before you even see one. Like I went to Garland High School and we did, cows and goats and stuff like that, and it was more for them, but to get scholarships. So,
Mhm.
but I was wondering why we don't have that here in the state.
Well, that's something that I believe that Tramonica is probably trying to tackle as far as being on the platform that she is on. Definitely for these areas of District 7, being South Dallas and Southeast Dallas and Pleasant Grove. We definitely need to get those areas, into our control, into our grasp as far as economic development, as far as the things that we say that we want to see in our community, because otherwise the city will come in and gentrify the area, and then it'll be something for them to control, and we would have no say so whatsoever. So, Tremonica, how would we go about educating young voters in your demographics, those who have just turned 18 years old, that might want to get involved in the cause, and even those of us older voters who have been here and have seen the changes that have come forth, and seen the changes in our own area that we are not benefiting from.
Well, the main thing is, I say join some of these nonprofits. A lot of us spend a lot of time already trying to figure out a way to make it happen. If we can get people to feed into what we're doing already and just make it more powerful. Find out about these social activist networks. Find out about these people who are strictly community outreach based. These nonprofits that service based that particular mission. Get involved with them. The best thing I can tell somebody is to get involved. Like, we got to get out of the way of, COVID. COVID happened in the middle of George Floyd, and it didn't stop a single show for me because I was out there double masked up telling you what time it was. The same thing goes for us eating. We want to eat healthier. Black people are the highest to be the highest when it comes to obesity. We have to realize that we are our greatest enemy, and we are the definition of what America could look like if we step into it. I've talked to so many different cultures where they tell us, you guys are the promised people. You know, we can create change with just us. So if we start getting involved in what these nonprofits have going on, we can definitely build better and stronger and make real change and real headway for, future ways to come.
Mhm. And Veronica, I just want you to speak to young women like the women we see in this picture with you. Women like my daughter, both of my daughters who are at least in your same age bracket, and the young people of the city of Dallas who have that history, who want to discover that history. Can you speak to them about getting involved in shaping the future of our city?
Absolutely. So the great thing about, first of all, those ladies that are representing Tramonica Brown for the people are also the three ladies that represent Not My Son Dallas. The oldest is 40 and the youngest is 28. So, and I fall in the middle. I'm the middle child of us.
Okay.
So we have a large diversity range when it comes to age. I feel like it's important to always carry on wisdom with you, especially with the things that we do and how heavy we have an impact on the generation just as a whole, especially with social activism. I feel like we have to, for women, I'm a women liberator. So for anybody in your, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, not sorry. I'm for the betterment of the uplifting of the female race. um,
Absolutely.
I need to have that type of power and the type of potential matriarch that we can possess. It's just influential, and I strive to get people involved. Do your research on these people. That's one thing. Yes, let me say that. Do your research on the people who you invest your time. If these people are out here representing everything wrong in life, but when they get in front of you, they're talking right, get away from those people. We have too many people that are in social activism, nonprofits, who are only in it for profit. That's why we came up with the tagline, people over profit.
Right.
Because, and I'll tell a quick short story real quick. I know it's a little off track, but during the winter storm, when we housed those 600 people, we had nonprofit organizations that came in and swindled money from us.
Wow.
That wanted to. And I know one of you can speak to. Well, a few of y'all are actually in nonprofits, so when you're doing
I
things, keep a chart. So how people want to. Like, say you're giving out diapers or something, they would want to know, the woman's name, date of birth, all of that. Well, at that time, the government was giving a lot of money for the people who were helping a lot of people. So people would just call us and ask for our list. And then they would say they would come and give something. And what they wanted to do with the list is take it and give it to the city so that way they can get $100,000.
Oh wow.
Mind you, we spending $7,000 per hotel, and I have receipts. And it was an unfortunate situation, but it schooled me very quickly. So I'm grateful that it happened, because now I understand, how greedy people get when they feel like it's an opportunity to gain, and how people don't. You only have to spend 1% of your nonprofit in order to call yourself a nonprofit. What? I feel like we need to work on that immediately, because you got somebody who got 100,000 and gave themselves 80 as a salary.
Oh
How does
wow.
it? How does that work? I mean, I feel like it's disgusting behavior, but I feel like it's something I want to highlight. When you say you want to fight for people, you got to expose it all. It doesn't necessarily mean that you stand in the brightest light when you do it. But I know if we want real change, a lot of it is for Texas.
You know what?
Before this, I was in fashion, so I know firsthand, how charities work. So we have to do better with making sure these nonprofits are accountable for the money that they have.
Yeah,
What were you saying, Miss B? We cannot hear you.
You got a microphone. It's not working, Miss B.
Miss B, that microphone not working.
and this time, I stand complete. I stand with you in full agreement. I'm saying I stand with you in full alignment. I know exactly what you mean. It's not working. It's not working.
It's working.
Can
Go
you hear me
ahead.
now?
Yeah,
Hmm.
we can hear you now.
So can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to say that I totally am in alignment with what she's saying. Of the city of Detroit with nonprofits and with activists that come in and with unsolved murder cases. We have seen this time and time again. You have mothers that are fighting in the fight for justice for their loved ones. And then you have a group of people that would join on along as if they're looking to assist and help, and then they're only work for self. And it's truly becoming sickening. It's truly becoming an issue, and it seems to be a trend. You know, like people, they're not really there to actually help and to make actual improvement within the community. And when you have people that are actually in this fight to actually, have issues addressed. So the fact that you brought light to that is very inspiring to mothers. I want you to know anybody that watches this segment and that has been in a fight for justice for their loved one. This is the things that they want to bring to the table. This is the things that they want talked about because a lot of times the case is open. No one follows up with them. No one contact them, and then now they're just steadily trying to get these cases solved after years. I'm talking about we going out 7 years down the line, and people will come and as far as organizations and pretend in their corner, pretend to want to help. Then once they get that funding, they're gone. They're out the door. They're no longer supporting their family once again. And then these mothers suffering, crying, and even without the donations who are in this fight. So I truly commend you for bringing light to that. And I even saying that, you have people that are joining on with the tagline, like how you may say, George Floyd is a tagline, or not my son is a tagline. Well, now you have my name tagline that are pretending to be a part of these organizations. They're coming in just to get the profit, and then they're leaving, and the families of the loved one are still suffering. They're not getting a dime, and those mothers, those fathers, those children still have not benefited at all from any of the money or the funds collected. And we're getting ready to talk that personally on a new upcoming documentary. So for you to talk about it right on, bring it on to the platform of the Hot Pink Radio, I think that is truly amazing, and I think you are the perfect candidate that can bring change and shed some light on some very topics that need to be addressed. Because things like that is definitely happening, not only in Dallas, but it's happening in Chicago. It's happening in most definitely. And then how you guys were talking about own our own food, and doing our own grocery stores and things of that nature, building within the Black community, us investing and doing our own farming. That's actually happening right now in Chicago. They are organizing a whole platform as to where Black business owners are coming together, and they are doing their own farming. They're purchasing the land to be able to build on, to be able to supply the food, because this is what needs to happen. So you're definitely on the right track for Dallas.
Absolutely. And I just want to encourage anyone in the South Dallas area who may have some issues with claiming your parents or grandparents' property to go ahead and reach out to the North Texas Legal Services, which is something that I've had to do because I own 2 tracts of land in South Dallas that can definitely be beneficial to the community, and have had to go in. And the thing about it is the fight is very expensive, but North Texas Legal Services will at least help you with getting the ball rolling so that you can understand your rights as property owners. And so once you get that property and get that in to your possession, then you will be in a better position to negotiate as a taxpayer that's on current books, and be able to shape the future the way that you want to see it. I definitely want to see South Dallas maintain its character, maintain its history, and maintain its legacy, but also be the recipient of some of these funds that they're using to build up our communities without us, to where the community as a whole is really not benefiting from gentrification. The only people benefiting are the big wigs with the big money, and they can come in there, but you have people who are losing their properties and losing their land to these new projects that we really should be spearheading ourselves. So we've got about an hour and 2 minutes here. Tramonica, I do want to give you the floor to, make the last statement. If you have, I definitely want to encourage people to vote. We need to know when this election is, because we're sitting here in April, and many of us, I tell you, more than half of us don't even know that there is an election coming up. So can you please give us the information about the election? Is it too late for voter registration? What do we need to do to get involved?
So it's too late for voter registration. However, if you are already registered to vote, meaning if you voted in the November election, you're good to go.
Mhm.
Early voting starts April 19th through the 27th, and then May 1st is election day. I'm going to urge everybody to find out who is in the race in your district.
Mhm.
It's very important that we realize who the incumbents are and what they have allowed to come into our districts. I'm not going to speak for anybody else's district, but I'm saying everybody take a moment out of your day to do your research. We need to understand what we're working with, because at this point, we're at a sweet spot where developers are comfortable with the incumbents. I've noticed a slate of, we're going to stick together and we just want all of us to make it back over. Whenever you see something like that, something in the buttermilk ain't clean, as the Southern people say. So we got to figure out what that is. And in each district, everybody needs to do their own discernment of homework to know who they really want to be the voice for them. Because we're in a state of emergency as far as what we consider a Black Lives Matter situation or trend, or we have people who refer to us who sit on our city council as a trend. That's something that we
Mhm.
need to realize they said. That is on a record. I'm disgusted about that. And too many of them agree with, it was just a trend. And they hosted rallies and annexed out, real social activists who were actually doing the work just to say they did something in the summer for when election time came. We have to realize those type of people who sit in office who will make a mockery of Black people
And call us a trend.
and call us a trend.
Call
So
the death of a man in the streets a
a
trend.
trend. That's a
And the thing
trend.
about it is that it is when they do, because these trends can be activated at their behest to have a control over the minds of the people, to have a control over shaping the way that the social uh, atmosphere is going. They will create a trend. Unfortunately, George Floyd was used in that situation, and I really do believe, that there's a lot of things that get put out here for us to, take a hold of, and to grab hold of, to divert our attention from what's really, really going on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so it's important for us to know things like there is an election next week. The 19th is on Monday.
Monday.
Okay. Monday, this coming Monday. And then election day is less than 2 weeks away. And so we need to make sure that anybody that voted in the November election, that you get out and vote. If you need a ride to vote, contact one
I'm
of
doing
these
the meeting. I didn't
agencies.
have no cord.
Contact 211, contact Tramonica's agency to
Okay.
see if you
Not
can
my
get some
son.
help.
Not my son Dallas will be providing rides to the polls. So if you
Mhm.
need a ride to the poll, if you look on our Facebook page, It is a number that you can text and say that you need a ride to the polls. You can also Facebook us at Not My Son Dallas, or you can Instagram or Twitter us at Not My Son DFW. You can let us know that you need a ride, and then Monday we'll post the actual ride share situation for like different avenues of riding based on
Mhm.
where you live.
Okay. Well, we definitely need to get the word out about that. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Sandra, we'll go ahead and start with you since you are at the top up here, and give us your final take on our conversation today.
I want to thank everybody for coming on the show today and educating us about District 7. I'm so proud of you for doing what you're doing for your community. It's so important that young people. I've been watching your videos on YouTube, and you have a rally of people in just. I mean, they say day to day. They're not just doing this temporarily. You can see it is an ongoing thing. So thank you so much for doing what you do for the community here in Dallas, Texas.
All right. And Miss B, can you go ahead and give us your final thoughts on today's program?
I think she's frozen.
She might be frozen. Okay. I see her eyes
Well,
moving. I
I'm moving.
was It's okay, but anyway, we thank you, Miss B, for being here, part of the show with us with
Yes, I just want to say
WGHT.
that I am so honored I've met you while in Dallas, and to hear that you guys are working along with New Era Detroit and building a New Era Dallas, because they will bring change to the to the state of Dallas, to the city, and you're a tremendous force within the community, and I see you making change, and people need to get out there and vote, and I hope that you do win this election. I'm even willing to fly in and help to get people to the polls. So if you need me, just holler, and I'm there.
Thank you,
Thank
Miss B.
you.
Thank you so much. And Tramonica, so we're going to end with you today and just let you have a final say so, a final word of encouragement. We sure do thank you for coming on the program. I'm so pleased to have met you. I'm very honored to have met you, to see a young lady to of your caliber and education, giving back to the community in a very selfless act, and beginning where you are to build, because we definitely need that in this community. We need young people who are concerned and who are getting out there to help with the fight.
Awesome. So first I want to start by saying thank you to New Era for giving me the Solidarity Award. It meant a lot. They even wrote on there, some superheroes don't wear capes, they wear purple. So
Right?
I was super excited about that. I was giddy. One thing that I want to say in closing is be an inspiration to somebody else. Yes, that is her. And it's purple. I don't know if y'all can tell. It is literally in purple. Um, that award meant so much because it lets you know that the work that you're doing, that people outside of your scope see and they appreciate and they fight with you. And the fact that they came with me and they block walk, well, they allowed me to be with them and they were synchronized and marched. And they was like, come on, girl. I'm like, okay. It was a beautiful thing. It was so impactful. The people in Dallas had not seen something with so much strong force in a very long time. So thank you, New Era, Dallas, Detroit, Chicago, every single chapter that y'all have for even, thinking of me to give me that award. I'm very humbled by that. I
Well,
want to leave
thank
the
you.
people with this. If you're going to be somebody in this world, we have a 4x4 space and we can do so much with just us. And it is better to be a leader of something and stand alone than to be a follower and be the detriment to your community.
Oh,
And
wow.
the picture that y'all see, it crossed the line. Some people told me, and I didn't care because I had to remind the people why I'm fighting for what I'm fighting for and why I'm even fighting for that seat, because it is so important to remember that I was the person that stood in front of your children when you weren't there. I was the person who literally brought DISD and any other ISD to the table when we didn't have education and your children didn't have laptops during the winter storm. The city didn't help us do that. That's something that Tramonica said. We along with Not My Son and other, people that stood in solidarity with us, we're going to find a way to make sure that our people are taken care of. We're out in the streets, whether I win, lose, or draw, every month, because we're going to stay out in those streets protesting, feeding our people, clothing our people, providing resources for our people until we see legitimate change. So I just ask that when you guys go to the polls and you vote for somebody that has and that carries that same conviction to change the narrative of what we have, because it's going to take more than me to make change. And even if the change is not made in that office, which I hope I make it, but even if that's not in the God's way of the will for me, I want to make sure that we're allowed and that we're given permission to continue on to make real, adequate, tangible change that the community can see. Because my thing is community buy-in. Because as soon as we get that community to ball that fist up and make a real unit, that's when the real change will actually start. So thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate meeting all of you guys. I want to encourage everybody to get to those polls. If you want to help my campaign, reach out to me on Facebook. I'm Tramonica Brown. Super duper easy. On Facebook, not Facebook, I'm Tramonica Brown. Instagram, I'm Tramonica Brown. So reach out to me if you want to get in any way, shape, and form and part of knowing about city council, helping with city council, and helping me bring this race home. We have less than 2.
Well, run, Tramonica, run. Okay. So thank you all for being a part of Let's Chat Dallas. You have blessed my life this evening, this Friday evening. I know people are out doing their thing, but thank you all for lending your voices and giving this platform to a very real issue, to a candidate that we can definitely get behind. All right. And so we're just going to go ahead and sign off. You guys, everybody say bye-bye. Bye. Thank you guys. And thank you guys for listening. Remember that you can follow Let's Chat Dallas at Let's Chat Dallas Radio on Instagram, on YouTube, Let's Chat Dallas YouTube channel, and also on our group page on Let's Chat Dallas Radio podcast, as well as follow Hot Pink Radio. We got so much for you to follow and so much for you to do. And I'm just going to leave you all here with these vendors that we were fortunate enough to partake in at Bonfire Dallas that are right here in Dallas for you to patronize. We've got Jeweled by Divine, and they had some awesome, Jeweled in Divine, they had some awesome crystal jewelry out there. And also we're going to bring this to you by Masculine Female Gear and Apparel. They had some really great stuff. So they are also based out here in Dallas. And of course, Sun Kiss Kiki, we enjoyed her treats, and we're just going to leave you with this spoken word from Gabby Valentino. Thank you guys for joining us this evening, and have a wonderful evening.
This one called From the Hood of the Ghettos. All right. From the hood of the ghettos, I became a rose. One, it wasn't because of the clothes I had on my back or what covered my toes. It wasn't because my daddy had stacks or because he had holes. You see, my mama had woes as she wake up to make up what my daddy left behind. In the same town and in the same time. There were nights without lights, roaches and mice screaming and fights, boxed macaroni and cheese and green beans. That was my life. Time behind bars before I could even dream about stars. Long dark walks and old men passing in their cars as I ran away to my grandma's house. Only to find out life was still the same. Shit, no shame. It took hell years to know that I was more than my name. More than the blame and more than what came and went. Money spent, late bills sent. After the stint in the U.S. Navy, shit still didn't make sense. See, I walked down the aisle to receive many honors, praying and hoping that the bill collectors just wouldn't bother, thinking that my degrees would stop the fees and reduce my needs. Nah, life don't work like that. See, it wasn't until I discovered that it was my own shadow and doubt and fear that always seemed to loom near. Something that I can't name, but obviously something that I frame and operate in that frame of mind. It cost a lot of dimes, I lost a lot of time, so now I mind my mind. I practice great thinking, I sit without blinking. I do vision boards and prayers and affirmations. I damn near turn my name into a... I do visions and prayer boards and affirmations. I damn near turn my life into a declaration. The best word feel to describe this feeling is elation. See, I've elevated. I'm operating on a higher frequency. The bottom thinking people, they can't even see me. So yeah, from the hood of the ghettos, I became a rose, one that grew from the inside out. And nobody really knows. This is when you start snapping. This is when you start snapping. All right. So Black on Black Love was created from the hood. I left my hood in 92, just returned back East St. Louis. Post-COVID 2021, I started the brand Black on Black Love. I got some love out there, in apparel form. So y'all hit me up. Y'all see me on Saturday as well. I'm Gabby Valentino. Flow Presents, one of the promotional sponsors. So I'm coming from the Midwest via the Bay Area, and I look forward to seeing y'all, all right? Peace.
Balance.